Hey guys, welcome to another commentary done by Diggity upper left hand corner of Meyara, starting as the yellow Zerg, bottom left hand corner of Bayagster, starting as the red Protoss. This is on Deja Vu, which has actually produced some really strong games thus far. Shout out to Eski out in Twitch land, by the way. If you are a fan of this YouTube channel, if you're a fan of this Twitch channel, be sure to check out Eski SC2. He's a really upbeat, positive guy in the community when he is playing StarCraft and an up-and-coming Terran. Hopefully, I haven't seen him play in BSL yet. It would be nice to see him out in BSL. Anyway, both these guys 1-1. I am going to say that just by... I've been impressed by Meyara's play, but by experience, I want to say that I favor Bayagster out of these two. We'll see if that ends up being the case down the line. Looks like we do have a Pylon first and Overlord going to the top right position currently, so won't be first... So first scout will not be Overlord for Meyara. On Deja Vu, there is opportunity for Hydralisk bust, as you do have a fairly wide natural expansion. I have gotten the sense that this series of... I'm not sure what the try for 14 or 12 is. Maybe talking about Nexus or something along those lines. Gateway, by the way, dropped here from Bayagster, so he is going to go for a gateway opener. He is making his way top left. But I do feel like I've gotten the sense that Protoss, these in this set, I don't want to say across the board, have gotten a little bit better at repelling Hydra busts, and that has kind of shifted things. And I'm not sure if that's the case across the board, but that's really been, I think, the state of the meta right this second, even in ASL finals, which have been long past, is Protoss have been kind of the odd... I feel like the Protoss and where they're at in the meta has really influenced what's happening with the other two races. And right now, it seems like Protoss have been caught quite a bit off balance. The better the Zerg have been at knocking their Protoss opponent off balance, as far as Hydralisk busts and switching into extreme aggression, as Sulky is a master of, the more trouble they've had against their Zerg opponents. And I do believe that has kind of been, that has effectively been the case across the board. We'll see if that is the instance here. A single Zealot holding back for right this second, as there has not been an initial scout. An Overlord was spotted. I think that Overlord must have been spotted top right. Bayagster is going to go bottom right, at which point he can send the Zealots. This was an overpool, and we are going to have actually 6 Zerglings out in the field. So it's wise that Bayagster is actually holding short, and it looks like he's blockading with the probe. This is kind of, this is something I've seen a lot of Zerg players doing lately as well, is actually investing in the initial 6, and one that helps, especially off the overpool, and then looking for run by opportunity. One, to provide scouting information, but also to create some havoc for your Protoss opponent, but also to get rid of this initial probe scout. This probe scout is absolutely enormous. It looks like it is going to be sent back. Oh, we got another probe. Meyara's not looking on the screen right. Oh, okay, now he's able to see it. Is he able to get it though? It looks like he is going to be able to dispatch that probe. In the meantime, probe finally making its way up to get some scouting information. No forge yet on the front. Overlord is overhead and sees 3 Zealots. So it's 3 Zealots versus 5 Zerglings and a probe blockading. So Meyara wanting to threaten the run by, but Bayagster heavily denying it. In fact, is foregoing the forge drop a little bit, and is doing a great job of also keeping his probe active out on the field. And it looks like he is going to be able to meander his way out. And likely, well, as I say that, Zergling gets the kill, so that puts Bayagster in the dark. The 4 Zealots going to march out now. So 4 Zealots going to make their way out on the field. Did Meyara spot it? Yeah, he's drawing the Zerglings back. He's added another handful of Zerglings in the midst of this. These Zealots, as long as they stay bunched up and go for a favorable engagement and don't get strung out, actually have pretty good shot, but looks like they got fairly strung out there. So good surrounds from the Zerglings. We'll have to see as the fight persists, but nice backups there by Bayagster, and doing a great job of stutter stepping and getting better surface areas. So now it's 4 damaged Zerglings remaining, and a Zealot is able to pocket up, and all 4 Zealots survive, one of them at fairly low health. They're going to march out. There's nothing currently at the 9 o'clock base. Unfortunately, Bayagster a little kind of meandering a little bit here, and oftentimes when you strike when you have a decisive victory like that, you either need to dedicate or run back. I think what he wanted to do is threaten enough territory to guarantee that a lot of Zerglings were invested there by Meyara. By the way, layer just about to finish. In order to make sure a lot of Zerglings were invested to kind of stymie that economy. By the way, Zergling speed is on the way. And was successful in that. And now you've got that cannon behind this, and Meyara's economy has been slowed down significantly. Usually you'll see Zerg, if they've managed to skip all this, around 22 drones at this stage. And instead, he's got a pile of Zerglings that just have to sit here. Now, does Meyara dedicate this is the next question. Is he going to assault the front and try to get some value, or is he just going to hold for the interim? Second Assimilator dropped, by the way, as Stargate is just about to complete. The Stargate might, I think it'll be able to scout. I don't know that it's going to, with the timing, is going to be able to actually get an initial Overlord. We have one Overlord that's hovering out to the right. That could potentially be a vulnerable Overlord to the second Corsair that is fielded. Pylon dropped on the edge to maybe provide an additional ring of cannons towards the Nexus, just in case. And we'll wait to see whether a fourth hatchery drops. Meyara does have the resources for the fourth hatchery, but it's kind of holding back right this second. And instead, building a lot of additional Zerglings. So is he going to go for a Zergling Mutaflood here? We'll have to see. That's a lot of additional Zerglings that have been constructed. So 6 Zealots making the way across. No Zealot leg speed. In fact, Citadel of Adun just completed. And I'm wondering if I think this is in response to Bayagster's move out. But that was a lot of Zerglings. This is a huge amount of Zerglings for Meyara. And potentially an overreaction. Bayagster's best bet. Is he going to walk into the main? He's going to be able to walk into the main. He's going to be able to get an inverted ramp defense. The question is how many Zealots does he try to hold the ramp with? Yeah, just going to hold this position. This is going to make it all the more, it's going to really negate the Zergling numbers. And Bayagster doing a pretty good job. Well, I was going to say doing a pretty good job of shuffling the weakened Zealot out, but looks like the weakened Zealot's still sitting towards the front. The Zergling's still not able to get their way back. Corsair working on the Overlords. Second Corsair is here as well. No, and the Scourge have not been created because there's been distraction with these Zealots along that natural. So one Corsair being left, the second Corsair being pulled out just in case. The Zealots opening up, and now all sorts of Zerglings flooding in. And the Zealot's going to be pretty rapidly dispatched. And that's going to be a dead Corsair pretty quick. Well, is it a dead Corsair? Never mind, the Corsair's going to be able to slip out. So Meyara making just a few mistakes, kind of overbuilding Zerglings here and there. He was able to take care of those Zealots, but that was still, you can see he's still falling behind in the overall drone count as to where he would want to be. Bayagster, even without dedicating, being very, very patient with these attacks, which honestly I feel like is, between him and Worst, I've noticed that the patient Protoss attacks seem to be all the more effective. It's kind of the mark of solid Protoss play these days. +1 weapons just about to finish. So Bayagster with kind of an off-time move out there with his Zealots, able to really, and also the really critical bit of that was able to get on top of the ramp. Gonna go ahead and pin a probe back, which suggests he is gonna dedicate a significant amount of Corsair, and he does have the Templar Archives coming online. He's got the second gas, so he does have the option to push towards Dark Templar. He's got +1 weapons upgrading, but it's also possible he could drop a second Forge and invest, that's something Protoss do these days, and invest the gas that direction on top of the Corsair and +1 weapons. Fifth Corsair is about to join. I'm guessing he's going to start moving out before that +1 weapons is complete. The Zerglings that are still in large numbers scattering out towards the front. But Bayagster in a very healthy economic position. He's got a solid supply lead. He's about where he wants to be. Zealot Lake Speed +1 weapons are finished. Making his way out. A lot of Zerglings here. They're going to go ahead and scatter back. Do we have a decent... So we do have a decent SimCity at the 9 o'clock. We have a decent SimCity at the main. An immediate... For a second there, I thought I saw a tech to lair, but it might have been just a delayed, or a tech to hive. It might have been delayed tech to lair that I was seeing somewhere on the mini map. The Hydralisks exposed. They want to be behind the Zerglings right here, having trouble shuffling in. And that ramp exposed once again. These Hydralisks, I don't know that they're going to be undistracted enough. Yeah, not undistracted enough to save the Overlords. And the Zealots clearing out a lot of those Zerglings. The Scourge getting completely wiped out as that +1 without +1 weapons even. And more Overlords getting absolutely eviscerated out on the field. Meyara is completely falling apart at this stage. Zealots are marching in, distracting everything. Is there an Overlord in the main? No Overlord in the main. No Overlord at the natural expansion. Is that going to provoke... No Dark Templar construction. It looks like it is High Templar instead. More Overlords getting pummeled at the 9 o'clock location. 13 available supply left. So the next at least 500 minerals are going to have to be invested in Overlords for Meyara. And Bayagster's in a situation where he can, well, he's actually, this is a sizable enough attack force that he's not really in a position where he's going to want to grab an additional base, but is in a position where he's already got a lot of gateways. He can surge very effectively, should be able to take his third in not too long. He's got a lot of units behind this, is grabbing some photon cannons. Meyara, with everything that's happened, might want to go for a bust right here, but is going to be greeted likely by some Psystorm. Yeah, one Psystorm drops, thins the herd. 5 Hydralisks out of the bunch have been taken out, and secondary problems for Meyara with those Hydralisks attacking the front. That means the Overlords are once again going to be exposed at the main. And it looks like, so we got 1 Hydralisk to try to defend against these 6 Corsair. Looks like 3 more coming in the grouping, but this is going to be a very quick Overlord decimation. Once again, 2 more Overlords wiped out. The Corsair is still relatively healthy. One of them finally being dropped. Nice activity on Bayagster's part with the Corsair. The Zealot numbers have regrouped. Looks like he's just waiting on the robotics, but unfortunately for him, he doesn't recognize that there's no lurkers out in the field right this second. Lurker Tech, I believe, is just now starting to research. See if I can find the Hydralisk to confirm that. Yeah, Hydralisk Tech just starting to research, so doesn't even need the observatory. I think he's recognizing that right this second. He's going to peek ahead with the Corsair, see no... Granted, he doesn't have the observer to absolutely confirm, but Zealot's going to wander in. Now has got the confirmation that there's nothing to defend this, and the Zealots marching in fairly heavily upgraded, by the way. +1 opens, +1 shield. That's going to open up those Corsair to again put Meyara in the red. Bayagster putting on a PVZ clinic right this second. Zealots also able to breach and get into the main. Might be able to take out a few additional drones. These Hydralisks peeled back, and we got 2 Overlords that potentially could get wiped out. It looks like there's 3 Hydralisks guarding there. It looks like Bayagster is going to angle. Able to get 1 Corsair out of there. And is going to get 3 more Overlords. Man, he's just... What? Okay. He's racked up an immense amount of damage. He's done a great job cycling things out. We have a single Zergling that was blockading. Bayagster's playing flawlessly. The only thing that I would say that could have gone better is if he had the foresight to know how well that attack was going to go, and to go ahead and grab a 3rd base while he's moving this army forward. It looks like he does have the Zealots streaming down to go ahead and clear out a potential attack force. He's already got observers that are queued up, and this is a formidable attack force for what Meyara has. He's been battered. He's had to sink a lot of his resources. He's just now getting an additional hatchery up, and he should be able to sustain Hydralisks, but the problem is with Hydralisks, your timing is hitting that +2 weapons, having a massive economic advantage and picking off the High Templar as they're entering the field. Right now, Bayagster has a massive army advantage. I don't know that Meyara is going to be able to counter, minus the High Templar, the army that's standing. The question is where does Bayagster strike? Does he strike at the 9 o'clock, or does he push up to the natural? Looks like there's some Psystormable. Actually, forget Psystorm. He's going to be able to wipe out a lot of these lurkers as they're walking up in the front. Overlord also, no Overlord speed, which is going to make, yeah, Meyara just going to GG, recognizing that was too large an army. Didn't even have Overlord speed to potentially wipe out the observers. So Bayagster playing a very, very strong game 1. And we'll see if Meyara has something better in game 2, might have settled his nerves and might not over-dedicate the Zergling forces here in game 2. So we might see a switch in fortune. We'll have to see. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for listening.